The sky above the human colony shimmered with colors that seemed almost alive. Tiny dots of silver and gold drifted through the thick atmosphere like glitter caught in sunlight. From a distance, it looked peaceful, but up close, the colony was a hive of activity. Machines moved with precise rhythm, and humans scurried through narrow streets carrying tools, data pads, or small packages. Everything had a purpose, and everything was watched. High above it all, the dragon floated silently. Its scales shimmered with faint blues and greens, reflecting the strange light of the twin suns. For centuries, it had wandered the galaxy, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations, yet nothing had captured its attention like this small, fragile species. Humans. The dragon's eyes were deep pools of knowledge, and today they were fixed on one particular human, a girl no older than 12. She stood near the edge of the city's outer wall, her small hands clutching a tablet that glowed with diagrams and instructions. Her eyes scanned every line, every symbol, as if the secrets of the universe were written there. Despite her youth, there was a quiet determination about her, a spark that the dragon could sense even from high above. The girl was facing a challenge. It was called the Labyrinth, an ancient structure left behind by explorers long gone. The labyrinth was not alive, but it moved in mysterious ways. Walls shifted when no one was watching, corridors twisted, and doors opened only when a sequence of patterns was solved. It had been built to test courage, intelligence, and the strength of the heart. To outsiders, it might have seemed impossible. To humans, it was a chance to prove themselves. The girl stepped into the entrance. The walls were smooth, shining with a soft light that seemed to hum with energy. She could hear her own heartbeat echo against the walls. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had prepared for this moment, trained for it in ways that most adults would find exhausting, but still, a twinge of fear crept in. It was natural. Fear sharpened the mind and made her senses alive. As she moved forward, the labyrinth responded. The walls shifted silently, corridors stretched and twisted. She paused, noticing a faint glimmer along the floor. It was a clue. Humans had a way of seeing patterns where others saw chaos. She followed the clue, stepping carefully, her mind racing with possibilities. Above, the dragon tilted its massive head. The creature had seen countless beings struggle, fail, and give up. Yet this girl moved with purpose. Even when the labyrinth tried to confuse her, she adapted. Her small fingers traced lines in the air as if the patterns themselves responded to her touch. The dragon had to admit it had never seen anything like it. Minutes passed. The girl moved deeper, her legs growing tired, but her spirit never wavered. She paused at a junction where 3 paths twisted in impossible directions. She closed her eyes and thought. Patterns, sequences, possibilities. Her mind worked like the fastest machine in the galaxy, not through force, but through understanding. She remembered lessons her parents had taught her: patience, observation, and courage. Her hand pressed against a glowing symbol, and suddenly, a section of the wall slid aside, revealing a new corridor. She smiled, a small victory, but she did not pause to celebrate. She knew that every triumph here required another test. The dragon shifted slightly, wings stretching across the sky. It had never felt this much interest in a creature so small. Humans were fragile, yet here was proof that fragility did not equal weakness. The dragon had spent centuries observing great empires, alien civilizations with technologies far beyond anything human, yet none had displayed such persistence, such cleverness, such heart. As the girl progressed, she began to notice small signs left behind in the labyrinth. Symbols that hinted at solutions, patterns that led to hidden doors. She realized the labyrinth was not entirely random. It had been designed with intention. Someone long ago had wanted the challenge to be solvable by a mind that was brave and observant, by a heart that refused to give up. She felt a connection across time, across species, across the universe, with the creators of this place. Her feet were sore, her arms tired from reaching and holding herself steady against walls that moved unexpectedly. Yet her determination never faltered. Each step she took was a message. She would not be stopped. She would not be defeated. And she would face whatever the labyrinth had to offer. Meanwhile, the dragon watched as though time itself had slowed. It had seen civilizations collapse under far less pressure. It had seen great beings make mistakes, fail, and vanish into oblivion. And yet, here was this small human girl, moving forward with courage that was almost unimaginable. She reached a room filled with shifting panels. The panels moved in ways that seemed random at first, but she noticed a rhythm, a beat. Her mind synced with it. She moved forward, sliding panels in sequence, stepping lightly but confidently. Each motion was precise, calculated, yet fluid. Her hands were small, but they seemed to command the panels as if they obeyed her will. The dragon's eyes widened. It had not expected this. Humans were clever, yes, but this was beyond cleverness. This was intuition, bravery, and intelligence all combined. It realized something it had not before. Humans were not to be underestimated. They might be fragile in body, but their minds, their spirits, their hearts were engines of possibility, capable of wonders that even the oldest dragons could scarcely imagine. A sudden twist in the corridor caused the girl to stumble slightly, but she caught herself. She laughed quietly, a sound that was light and bright in the enclosed space. She did not see the dragon, of course, but somehow it felt that laugh as if it had touched the air itself. That small sound carried courage, defiance, and hope. Minutes became longer as the labyrinth grew more complex. Every turn brought a new challenge, a new puzzle, and yet the girl moved with grace and patience. She paused only to think, to breathe, and to observe. Nothing could rush her here, and nothing could trick her for long. The dragon hovered closer, its massive wings creating gentle currents that stirred the atmosphere. It did not intervene, for it knew that this test was meant for the girl alone. But it could not resist the urge to study her, to learn from her, to feel the energy that radiated from her small body. There was something ancient in her courage, something that connected her to the earliest days of life on her planet. Hours, or what seemed like hours from the dragon's perspective, passed. The girl had reached the heart of the labyrinth. A massive chamber lay before her, filled with light and symbols that glowed like stars. It was a place of trials, yes, but also a place of revelation. She understood now that this was not a trap. It was an opportunity to show what humans could do when faced with impossible odds. She took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the patterns in the room. Her hands moved with confidence, sliding panels, pressing symbols, arranging them in sequences she had seen before. Every action was deliberate. Every choice a reflection of her mind's clarity. She was small, yes, but her presence filled the chamber. Outside, the dragon's attention never wavered. It could sense the energy shifting, the labyrinth responding to her in ways that even it had not anticipated. This girl, fragile and young, was bending the rules of a structure designed to challenge the greatest minds. She was teaching the labyrinth, in a way, how to recognize courage, how to recognize intelligence, and how to respect determination. The girl's brow was furrowed, lips pressed together, but her eyes shone with focus. She understood now that this journey was about more than solving puzzles. It was about proving that humans could rise above challenges that seemed insurmountable. She was not alone. Every thought, every choice, every step she took connected her to the countless humans who had come before her and who would come after. Finally, After minutes that felt like lifetimes, she reached the last puzzle. The symbols here were different, older, more intricate. But she had learned patience, observation, and courage in every previous step. She studied the symbols, tracing their lines with her fingers, listening to the soft hum of the walls. Her mind worked, not through brute force, but through understanding. The dragon watched, utterly fascinated. It had witnessed many civilizations, many forms of intelligence, but none had approached the final moment with this combination of wisdom and courage. It realized that humans were unique in a way that few species could ever be. Small in size, fragile in appearance, yet vast in spirit and mind. The girl took a final breath, stepped forward, and pressed the last symbol. A soft click echoed through the chamber. The walls shimmered and moved aside, revealing an open passage that led to sunlight. The labyrinth had accepted her. It had recognized her courage, her intelligence, and her heart. The dragon lowered its massive head closer, almost imperceptibly. It had been a silent observer for what felt like eternity, but now it understood. Humans were special. They were small, yes, but in their hearts burned a fire that could shape worlds, challenge empires, and inspire even the oldest of beings. The girl stepped into the sunlight, breathing deeply, smiling with quiet triumph. She had faced the labyrinth and had not only survived, but had proven something greater, that determination, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most complex challenges. High above, the dragon let out a sound that was not quite a roar, not quite a song. It was an acknowledgement, a recognition, a promise. The galaxy had seen this human, and it would never forget the spark she had shown. The girl did not notice the dragon, but somehow it mattered little. She had shown what humans could do, and for the dragon, that was enough to know that in this small, fragile species, the universe held hope, courage, and unimaginable potential. The sunlight was warm and bright as the girl stepped out of the labyrinth. Her chest heaved with exhaustion, but her eyes sparkled with triumph. The walls of the chamber shimmered behind her, reflecting the countless twists and turns she had navigated. For a moment, she simply stood there, letting the light fall on her face, breathing in the fresh air that smelled faintly of metal and wildflowers. The city beyond the labyrinth stretched out, buzzing quietly with life. She could see humans moving about, but it all seemed distant, almost unreal. High above, the dragon hovered silently, wings folded in the golden air. Its massive eyes, reflective like deep pools, followed the girl's every move. It had been a long time since the dragon had felt curiosity so strongly. Centuries of watching civilizations rise and fall had dulled most of its wonder. But the girl's determination, her intelligence, and her calm bravery had stirred something in its ancient heart. The girl took a tentative step forward, unsure where to go next. The labyrinth had been her challenge, her trial, but now that it was behind her, she felt a strange emptiness. The dragon sensed it too, though it was still far above. Challenges, it knew, were not just tests. They were moments that shaped who beings were. And now, for the first time, the girl would have to decide her own path, not guided by walls or puzzles, but by her own choices. Her mind wandered to her family. Her parents had been careful to train her for days like this, teaching her patience, problem-solving, and courage. They believed that humans had a unique spark, something that no alien or machine could match. The girl had always wondered if it was true, and now she understood. The labyrinth had not been cruel. It had been a mirror. It reflected her courage and cleverness, and she had faced it without fear. Suddenly, a gentle wind stirred around her, and she froze. It was unusual for winds to move so softly in this part of the colony, where the air was often still. The dragon shifted above, wings fluttering lightly. It made no sound, but its presence was felt, almost as if the wind carried a message. The girl's heart beat faster. She had heard stories of dragons from old records, but no human had ever seen one. The idea seemed impossible, yet her instincts told her she was not alone. Carefully, she looked upward. For a brief moment, the sun reflected off something massive, glimmering in the sky. A shadow passed over her, enormous and graceful. Her eyes widened as she realized what it must be. The dragon. Even from this distance, its form was breathtaking. The scales shimmered like glass in sunlight. The wings were broad and elegant, and the head alone seemed the size of a small building. The dragon tilted its massive head and studied her. It had spent decades observing humans from afar, never thinking one would catch its attention. And yet, here she was, small, young, and radiant with courage. The dragon felt a new kind of respect, one it had not granted lightly to any species. Humans were fragile, yes, but fragile did not mean weak. In fact, their fragility often hid a force the dragon had never experienced: resilience, ingenuity, and hope. The girl blinked, unsure if she imagined it, but she thought she felt a connection, as though the dragon's gaze carried a message. It was not words nor sound, but something deeper. Something that whispered, "You are extraordinary. Keep moving. Keep discovering." She could not explain why, but her confidence grew. Whatever awaited her next, she felt ready. She began walking toward the heart of the city. Though the labyrinth had tested her body and mind, the real world was different. Streets stretched in every direction, lined with buildings of metal and glass. Machines rolled by, carrying goods, monitoring systems, and assisting humans in their daily lives. People bustled about, some noticing her, some lost in their own tasks. None seemed to grasp the significance of her achievement yet. But that was all right. She did not need recognition. She only needed to know she had faced the challenge and emerged stronger. As she moved, the dragon followed, gliding silently above the rooftops. It was careful not to frighten anyone, but its presence was unmistakable. Birds scattered from the air as its shadow passed, and the humans below glanced upward in awe. The girl did not falter, though she occasionally looked up, imagining what it would be like to speak to such a magnificent creature. She had never met a dragon, and yet she felt no fear. Curiosity and courage had replaced any worry. She approached a plaza where humans often gathered to exchange stories and information. A few traders looked up from their stalls, smiling nervously at the strange shadow above. Children pointed, eyes wide with wonder, and whispered excitedly to each other. The girls smiled faintly. Perhaps they would remember this moment someday. Perhaps they would speak of the day the dragon visited their city and watched a human move through the labyrinth. The plaza opened to a large fountain in the center. Water shimmered in the sunlight, sending tiny rainbows dancing across the pavement. The girl paused, feeling a strange sense of calm. The labyrinth had pushed her limits, but now she realized that her journey was only beginning. Strength and courage were tested in trials, yes, but they were shown in everyday choices as well. Every decision, every action, carried the potential to change not just her life, but the lives of those around her. The dragon tilted its wings and hovered closer, curious to see how humans interacted with one another. It observed them carefully, noting the way they shared, helped, and encouraged each other. Despite their small size and seeming fragility, humans displayed extraordinary unity and compassion. They were not perfect, but they had something the dragon had rarely witnessed: the ability to adapt, to learn, and to inspire. The girl noticed a small group of children playing near the fountain. One of them had dropped a small sphere, and it rolled toward the edge. Without hesitation, the girl stepped forward and caught it. The children's faces lit up with surprise and gratitude. She returned the sphere, smiling gently, and they laughed in return. The dragon's eyes, vast and reflective, seemed to soften. It had seen countless acts of courage and intelligence, but this simple gesture reminded it of the true essence of humans: kindness, empathy, and understanding. A gentle hum filled the air suddenly, and the girl turned instinctively. Machines in the plaza shifted, lights blinking, data flowing through unseen networks. She had trained herself to notice small changes, patterns in movement, and subtle signs others might miss. Something was happening, something that required attention. Her heart raced, but not with fear. This was the excitement of discovery, the thrill of facing the unknown. The dragon sensed it too. The energy of the city shifted slightly, as if responding to the girl's presence. It was unusual, even for a place designed to be perfectly balanced. The labyrinth had been her first test, but the city itself might hold challenges in different forms. Puzzles were not always made of walls and symbols. Sometimes they were made of people, choices, and actions. The girl moved toward the source of the change. It was a small device, glowing softly, tucked into the side of a building. She bent down, examining it carefully. Symbols similar to those in the labyrinth decorated its surface. Her fingers traced the patterns, and she felt a connection, as if the device were designed for her touch, for her understanding. She pressed one symbol, then another, and the device responded. Lights shifted, and a small screen displayed a message in symbols she could understand. "Your courage is noted. Continue forward. Teach what you have learned." She smiled faintly, understanding that her journey was becoming more than just a personal challenge. The labyrinth had tested her, yes, but now she had the chance to share what she had discovered. Courage, intelligence, and patience were not things to keep to herself. They were tools that could inspire others. High above, the dragon let out a low, melodic sound. It was not a roar, not a threat, not even a greeting. It was acknowledgement, approval, recognition of a small human who had faced immense challenges and emerged wiser, stronger, and more confident. It hovered there, watching as the girl absorbed the message, feeling the first threads of understanding weave between them. The girl looked up again, sensing something she could not explain. She felt as if the dragon were near, not just physically, but in spirit. It had been a silent witness, and now, though it had not spoken, it had left her with a gift: confidence in her own abilities, belief in the potential of humans, and a reminder that even the smallest actions could have immense impact. She turned back toward the plaza, ready to move forward, ready to face whatever came next. Each step she took resonated with newfound purpose. Her journey had begun with the labyrinth, but it was far from over. Every corner of the city held mysteries, every interaction carried lessons, and every moment was an opportunity to grow. As she walked, she noticed others watching her, some with curiosity, some with admiration. Humans had long struggled to understand their place in the galaxy, often seeing themselves as small and powerless. Yet here she was, a single girl, proving that courage and intelligence could stand against any challenge. Her presence inspired those around her, even if they did not fully realize it. Above, the dragon followed silently. It had once thought humans were fragile, limited, and insignificant. Now it understood that their strength lay not in muscle or size, but in heart, mind, and spirit. Humans had a spark that could light entire worlds, and it had been given the privilege of witnessing it firsthand. The sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting golden light across the city. Shadows lengthened, and the air grew cooler. The girl paused for a moment, taking it all in. She felt the connection between herself, the city, and the dragon above. She understood that challenges would continue, puzzles would arise, and obstacles would appear. But she also knew that she was ready. She had learned that courage, intelligence, and heart could guide her through anything. And the dragon, silent and watchful, knew that it would never forget the small human who had walked through the labyrinth, who had faced her fears, and who had shown the universe what humans were truly capable of. The city continued to hum with life, unaware of the silent observer in the sky. But the girl did not need recognition. She had proven herself. She had faced the labyrinth, discovered her own strength, and set in motion a chain of events that would ripple far beyond this moment. As night fell and stars began to shimmer above, she smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The dragon hovered close enough now that she could almost imagine its presence beside her, a quiet reminder that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of wonder. Her journey was only beginning, but she knew one thing for certain. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage, intelligence, and heart. The girl walked through the city with purpose. The sun had dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows on the buildings and streets. The light glimmered on the glass and metal structures, making the city look alive, almost as if it were breathing. She moved carefully, yet confidently, feeling the energy of the place flow around her. Every sound, every movement seemed meaningful now. The city was no longer just a backdrop. It was part of her journey, part of the story she was creating. The dragon hovered high above, its wings wide and steady. It had followed the girl since she emerged from the labyrinth, but it remained silent, patient, and observant. The creature had spent centuries watching civilizations rise and fall, yet humans, with all their fragility and courage, fascinated it more than any other species. It sensed potential in her, something extraordinary that went beyond cleverness or intelligence. This young human possessed a rare combination of heart, mind, and spirit, a spark that could influence more than her own life. As she approached the edge of the city, she saw a narrow bridge stretching over a deep chasm. The bridge was old, constructed of metal beams and cables, and it swayed slightly with the wind. People rarely crossed it, fearing the unknown below, but the girl did not hesitate. She had faced fear before and had learned that courage was not the absence of it. It was moving forward despite it. She stepped onto the bridge, feeling it shift beneath her feet. The wind brushed her hair, tugged at her clothes, and whispered secrets she could not yet understand. Halfway across, she paused to look down. The depth of the chasm was dizzying, but she felt no fear. She felt awe. The world below was a tapestry of color, light, and shadow, a reflection of the galaxy itself. Her heart beat steadily, her mind clear and focused. She knew that the bridge was just another challenge, another puzzle in the city's vast network of paths. Every structure, every corner, every choice had meaning if she could see it. High above, the dragon followed, its massive wings beating gently against the air. It watched the girl's every movement. Feeling a mixture of admiration and curiosity, humans had survived for millennia in ways that the galaxy had rarely recognized. They were small and fragile, yet their ability to adapt, think, and persevere was unmatched. This girl exemplified that in a way the dragon had never seen before. As she reached the other side of the bridge, a small crowd of humans noticed her. They stared in awe, not at her, but at the presence of the dragon above. Few had ever seen it, and those who had only caught glimpses. Children pointed and whispered excitedly, while adults stopped their work to watch the silent giant. The girl smiled gently, acknowledging the observers, but she did not falter. She had grown accustomed to challenges, both seen and unseen, and she moved forward with calm determination. The city opened into a large plaza, filled with machines and humans working together. Some carried supplies, others repaired equipment, and a few studied maps and diagrams on glowing panels. The girl walked through the plaza, observing quietly. She noticed patterns in the way people moved, subtle rhythms in the machinery, and hidden connections between tasks. Her mind, trained by the labyrinth, picked up details that others overlooked. She approached a group of young humans practicing with small mechanical devices. They were trying to solve a puzzle, a complex machine with moving parts and symbols, similar to the labyrinth. The girl knelt beside them, watching carefully. She did not speak immediately. She wanted to understand their approach, their mistakes, and their thought process. Patience, she had learned, was as important as action. After a moment, she spoke softly, offering guidance. Her words were simple, clear, and thoughtful. The children listened intently, adjusting their actions based on her advice. Slowly, the machine began to function correctly, moving in smooth, precise motions. The children laughed with delight, amazed at their own success and grateful for her help. The girl smiled, pleased not for herself, but for them. Teaching, she realized, was another form of courage and intelligence. It was sharing knowledge and heart with others. The dragon hovered silently above, observing this interaction. It had seen intelligence and courage countless times, but the girl's willingness to help others, to share her experience, was remarkable. Humans were capable of much more than surviving challenges. They could inspire, uplift, and teach. The dragon felt a deep respect for this small species, realizing that strength was not just measured in action, but in influence and compassion. As the girl continued through the city, she noticed a large building at its center. The structure was covered in panels that glowed faintly, symbols shifting across their surfaces. It was a place she had not explored before, but instinct told her it held answers, perhaps guidance for the next steps in her journey. She approached carefully, noting the patterns on the ground and the arrangement of light around the entrance. Inside, the building was quiet. Soft hums of energy filled the air, and the walls pulsed with faint light. She moved slowly, examining the symbols and patterns. Each step revealed more connections, more puzzles, more opportunities to understand the world around her. Her mind worked rapidly, yet calmly, analyzing, connecting, and predicting. She had learned that observation was as powerful as action, that thought could shape reality in subtle ways. A small device on a pedestal caught her attention. It was similar to the one she had discovered in the plaza, glowing softly with symbols she could decipher. Her fingers traced the lines, following the patterns she had learned from the labyrinth. Slowly, the device responded, its light shifting and changing. A soft hum filled the room, and a projection appeared before her eyes. Symbols and images floated in the air, forming patterns that told a story. She realized it was a record of the city's history, its challenges, and its achievements. Humans had built this place over generations, each contribution layered carefully atop the last. It was a record of ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. The girl felt a deep connection to these people, to their accomplishments, and to the knowledge they had left behind. She studied the projection, absorbing information, noticing small details others might miss. Paths through the city, patterns in the machinery, hidden symbols in the walls, all of it formed a complex network of knowledge. She understood in that moment that her journey was not only about proving herself, but about discovering, learning, and preserving the wisdom of her people. The dragon hovered closer, intrigued by her focus. It had followed many species, watched countless civilizations, but none had approached discovery in this way. Humans were small, yes, but their curiosity, persistence, and ability to learn were unparalleled. This girl, in her youth, embodied all of it. The dragon realized that humans had a unique role in the universe. They could adapt, understand, and influence in ways that even the oldest beings could not anticipate. Hours passed as she explored the building, tracing symbols, analyzing patterns, and uncovering secrets. Each discovery added to her understanding, each solution revealed new possibilities. She realized that challenges were not only meant to test her, They were meant to teach her. Knowledge, she learned, was a form of courage, and wisdom was a form of power. Eventually, she emerged from the building, carrying new understanding in her mind. The plaza outside was bathed in soft evening light, the city humming with quiet energy. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also anticipation. Her journey was far from over. There were still challenges to face, mysteries to uncover, and connections to make. The dragon descended slightly, wings extended, casting a broad shadow across the plaza. It made no sound, but the presence was undeniable. Humans in the area stopped and stared, whispers of awe spreading quickly. The girl looked up, sensing the dragon's attention. She did not fear it. Instead, she felt inspired, as if the dragon's presence were a reminder of the vast possibilities that awaited her. She knew that the labyrinth had been only the beginning. The city, the devices, the knowledge hidden within buildings, all of it was part of a greater puzzle, a network of learning and discovery. She understood that courage was not limited to facing dangers. It included seeking knowledge, sharing it, and using it wisely. Her heart beat steadily, her mind focused, and her spirit shone brightly. The dragon watched silently, noting the way she interacted with the world. Every choice she made, every action, reflected a blend of courage, intelligence, and empathy. It had seen countless beings fail under pressure, but this girl had not only succeeded, she had thrived. She had learned from challenges, helped others, and uncovered knowledge that would benefit her species. Night fell over the city, and stars began to appear in the sky above. The girl paused to look upward, imagining the vast galaxy stretching endlessly beyond. She felt small, yes, but not powerless. She had faced the labyrinth, navigated the city, and learned from its secrets. She understood now that even a single human, when guided by courage, intelligence, and heart, could influence the world around them. The dragon hovered closer, wings brushing gently against the wind. It had been a silent witness for much of her journey, but now it felt compelled to acknowledge her accomplishments. It made a soft, melodic sound, almost like a song. The girl listened, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. She did not understand the language, but she understood the meaning: respect, acknowledgement, and encouragement. The girl smiled faintly, knowing that her journey was far from over. Challenges would continue, puzzles would arise, and mysteries would demand her attention. But she was ready. She had learned patience, observation, courage, and empathy. She had discovered the power of knowledge and the importance of sharing it. And above all, she had proven that even a small human could achieve extraordinary things. The dragon watched as she continued walking through the plaza. Observing the people, the machines, and the patterns of the city, it understood now that humans were unique, fragile in appearance perhaps, but resilient, intelligent, and full of heart. And this girl, small yet remarkable, embodied the very best of her species. As the night deepened, the city lights glimmered like stars, mirroring the sky above. The girl paused once more, taking in the beauty around her. She felt connected to the labyrinth, the city, the people, and the dragon above. She realized that her journey was not just her own. It was part of something greater. It was about understanding, growth, and the endless possibilities of courage and intelligence combined. The dragon let out a soft hum, wings folding slightly, and hovered silently above. It had watched many worlds, many civilizations, but none had captured its attention like this human girl. She had proven that even the smallest and youngest could accomplish wonders, and in that knowledge, the dragon found hope for the galaxy. The girl continued her walk, confident, focused, and aware of the immense possibilities ahead. Her journey had begun with the labyrinth, but it would continue far beyond it. With courage, intelligence, and heart, she knew she could face whatever the universe held. And the dragon, silent and watchful, knew that it would never forget the small human who had shown the universe the extraordinary potential of her species. The first light of dawn spilled across the city, painting the buildings in soft gold. The girl walked along quiet streets, her steps measured and calm. The labyrinth, the puzzles, the city, they had all tested her, but she felt ready. She had learned lessons that went beyond cleverness or courage. She had learned about connection, patience, and heart. Her mind hummed with ideas, and her spirit glowed with quiet determination. Above, the dragon hovered closer than ever. Its massive wings cast shadows over the city, and its eyes, deep and reflective, followed her movements. The creature had spent centuries observing life, yet none had fascinated it as much as this human girl. She had moved through the labyrinth, mastered the city's hidden knowledge, and helped others, all while remaining humble, kind, and courageous. It was a combination the dragon had never seen. She entered a large hall at the center of the city, a place she had noticed during her exploration. Inside, the room shimmered with energy, symbols moving across walls, floors, and even the air itself. It felt alive, like the city's heart had gathered here. Her eyes widened as she realized this was a central hub of knowledge, where all discoveries, all ideas, and all lessons were collected. She could feel it. Every challenge, every puzzle, every success she had experienced was connected to this place. Carefully, she approached the center, where a pedestal held a glowing device. It pulsed with light, almost like a heartbeat. Her fingers traced the lines and symbols, recalling the lessons of the labyrinth. She pressed one symbol, then another, and the device responded, projecting images and patterns in midair. It was a map, showing not only the city but the galaxy beyond. She could see connections between stars, civilizations, and knowledge, and she realized the scale of what she had discovered. Humans were part of something greater than themselves, and she was a bridge between understanding and exploration. The dragon descended, hovering above the hall. Its massive wings filled the space, but it moved gently, careful not to overwhelm the room. The girl looked up and, for the first time, felt a true connection with the creature. It was not fear that rose in her chest, but wonder, respect, and a sense of partnership. The dragon's presence was not threatening. It was a silent acknowledgement of her achievements and her potential. Slowly, the dragon lowered its head, its eyes meeting hers. She could not speak its language, but she understood its meaning clearly. It had witnessed her courage, her intelligence, and her heart. It had seen her rise above challenges and help others along the way. The message was simple, yet powerful. Humans could accomplish extraordinary things, and she embodied the best of her species. She reached out instinctively, placing a hand in the air where the dragon's gaze seemed to meet hers. It was a gesture of trust, connection, and acknowledgement. The dragon shifted slightly, a ripple of energy passing through the room, and she felt the warmth of understanding and encouragement. Though no words were spoken, they communicated everything that mattered. The girl took a deep breath, looking around the hall. Symbols shifted and changed, reflecting her journey and the knowledge she had gathered. She realized that her path was no longer about testing herself. It was about sharing what she had learned. Knowledge, courage, and wisdom were not meant to be kept. They were meant to be shared, to inspire, and to guide others. Outside, the city was awakening. Humans moved about, machines hummed, and the soft light of dawn reflected off metal and glass. The girl felt a connection to all of it. Every action, every choice, every puzzle she had solved was part of a larger whole. Her courage had shown others what humans were capable of, and now it was time to take that lesson further. The dragon rose higher, wings stretching across the sky. It had witnessed countless species, yet it had never seen one quite like humans. Fragile in appearance, yes, but capable of profound courage, intelligence, and heart. This girl, small and young, had proven that a single human could influence not only her own world, but the understanding of life across the galaxy. She stepped outside the hall, feeling the warmth of the sun and the gentle hum of the city beneath her feet. Humans glanced at her with curiosity and respect, sensing that she had achieved something remarkable. Children pointed excitedly, and adults paused, recognizing her as someone who had faced challenges and emerged stronger. Yet she did not seek praise. She only wanted to continue learning, exploring, and helping others find their potential. The dragon hovered silently, wings extended to catch the morning light. It had followed her journey from the labyrinth to the city and into this hall of knowledge. It had seen courage in action, intelligence in problem-solving, and heart in helping others. It realized that humans, though small, carried something extraordinary within them, a spark that could illuminate the universe. The girl walked through the city, pausing to share her knowledge with those she encountered. She explained patterns, solved problems, and offered encouragement. Each interaction left others inspired, giving them confidence and hope. She understood now that the greatest power humans possessed was not strength, speed, or size. It was their mind, their courage, and their ability to connect with others. As the day progressed, she noticed the dragon watching from above. Its presence was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that awaited her species. She smiled, feeling a bond that transcended words. The dragon was not a guardian or a ruler. It was a witness, an observer, and now a silent supporter of her journey. The city hummed with life, and she felt a deep sense of belonging. She was part of a world, part of a species, and part of a universe filled with challenges and opportunities. Her courage, intelligence, and heart had carried her this far, and she knew they would continue to guide her. As night approached, stars filled the sky, reflecting the lights of the city below. The girl stood on a high balcony, looking out across the city. She felt the weight of what she had accomplished, but also the thrill of what lay ahead. Every discovery was a step toward greater understanding, every challenge a chance to grow, and every choice a reflection of her spirit. The dragon descended once more, hovering close enough for her to sense its presence fully. It did not speak, but the energy it carried was unmistakable. It was admiration, respect, and hope, all intertwined. The girl understood that she was part of something larger than herself, something that could shape the future of her species and beyond. With a deep breath, she turned back toward the city. Her journey was far from over, but she felt ready. She had faced the labyrinth, explored the city, uncovered knowledge, and shared her discoveries. She had proven that even a single human, small and young, could accomplish extraordinary things. And now she would continue, guided by courage, intelligence, and heart, with the silent support of the dragon above. The dragon watched her disappear into the streets, its massive wings reflecting the stars above. It had witnessed a remarkable journey, one that would be remembered across the galaxy. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, but they possessed a spark that could change worlds. And in that knowledge, the dragon found hope for the future, knowing that it had seen the extraordinary potential of a single human girl, and through her, the promise of her entire species. Night fully settled over the city, and the girl continued to move forward, exploring, learning, and growing. Every step she took left a ripple of inspiration, a quiet reminder that courage, intelligence, and heart could overcome any challenge. The dragon remained above, a silent witness to the ongoing journey, understanding that the galaxy would never be the same after what it had seen. And as the stars shone above, the girl smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. The labyrinth, the city, the challenges, all had prepared her for what lay ahead. She was small, yes, but her mind was sharp, her heart strong, and her courage unbreakable, and with that, the future of humanity was limitless.